Hello everyone, today I'm looking at Kirby 64 at the Crystal Shards. Wow. I'm not sure what else to say except that I really do love this game. This is probably my favorite Kirby game of all time, and honestly the first one I ever played. Later I found out when Kirby was really on, the older systems and, the Game Boy, and really is kind of how Laboratory's little, cherished child, if you will. And however, the Crystal Shards is the game that basically was super cute, super fun, and really had that magic and essence to it, and really, I think, defined the N64 for me. Just a lot of really cool things were in it. So, for example, one of the main things is that Kirby can, of course, suck up enemies, and but now in a pseudo kind of 3D space, he's kind of tied to mostly a 2D plane. However, with all the different kinds of enemy types and whatever, you can suck them up and steal their powers, and of course you're going to have to do that to defeat certain bosses and navigate through the environment. And again, so, the beginning of the story, Kirby games are, known for their very simple stories. Essentially, Kirby is having a picnic with his friends when suddenly this fairy comes to them and says basically this evil one-eyed monster of this black hole thing has decided to, invade and come into, my space kingdom and destroy everything that I have. And so it's up to Kirby and the gang to basically recover the crystal shards and show this, monster who's boss. And so over the course of the game, you'll meet Kirby's allies, each with their own kind of specific thing. This will range from, the artist, the painter, Waddle Dee the fighter, the fairy who gives you little assistance and stuff like that, and even King DDD, who helps you out with certain things that, you need to take care of certain enemy bosses and things like that. And you actually ride King DDD, and he gives you a little lift, and basically he takes you on a little adventure and helps you go through these harder parts of the levels, which is very, very fun. The entire aesthetic of this entire game is very cute. And this is, to me, is a peak Kirby. I don't know. This is just my favorite Kirby game of all time, and coincidentally the first one I played. So the main mechanic of the Kirby games that I really love, but that really shines here, is the fact that Kirby will absorb the powers of a certain enemy, but he can also absorb the powers on a sort of double. He can double up on his powers. So, you might be able to get a spike enemy and absorb that, but if you click the R button, Kirby will take out that essence and element out of him, and it'll turn it into a throwable object. And if you throw it into another enemy that has a different essence, you can actually combine the objects and make really cool combinations. And so there's a max of 2 combinations, which I find really, really cool. And you just get a series of just incredibly overpowered combinations. For example, the favorite one is probably Spike and Electricity. You literally get a double-sided lightsaber to wield around. Like, it's just this crazy, crazy stuff that just is so cool. Again, the music in this game is incredibly charming. Kirby games, they are supposed to be very short, fun experiences where, the main aspect of it is to kind of have a memorable experience, not a super challenging or long experience. And again, this is very kid-friendly, but I find its style and aesthetic to be incredibly unique to Kirby himself. And so after every level, you will be able to find one of the crystal shards, and a cutscene will play, and then you go to a different planet, of which I think there are only 5 or 6 of them. And so it's not a terribly long game, but it's such a unique and distinct aesthetic. There's nothing quite like it, and I absolutely adore this game for that. Again, some of the music in this game is just just stupidly good. What's also very fun about each level is once you beat it, you will also be granted this little scene where Kirby will jump onto a picnic basket or a picnic blanket, and in doing so, he will essentially be able to get a certain upgrade or something. And so there's, of course, everything from, a little tiny star to a full 1-up. This is a game where, of course, if you get, I think, a full meter, I'm not sure how many star bits that is, but you get a new life. And, it's a very simple kind of setup. kind of makes me sad when I think about just games like this are just no longer feasible to make. These fun little cute little adventures that might be only might last you a few days or a few hours or something, but for Kirby, this is kind of his where he belongs, and he does it very well and very distinctly. So even though these games are super short, they leave a really big impact. Also, throughout the levels, you will find other crystal shards if you want to get 100% completion. And in doing so, there are certain shards that are hidden behind certain walls and things like this, and that basically require you to be able to have either the right kind of special move from that level, like spike or bomb or something of that sort, and that will allow you to kind of progress and grab the shard through a destructible barrier or just another ability that you just need to know to have for that section. I think I might as well talk about some of the other Kirby games I've played, since I don't really feel like really reviewing them because they're just not really super substantial. One thing I guess I wish that was in this game that is definitely in the other games is Kirby's ability to use the rock star, scream into a microphone to destroy everything on screen. Karate Kirby, that's absent from this game. And just interesting in general that Kirby has always been on a handheld system. And also Kirby's character design is probably the most ridiculously simple but effective thing I've ever seen. And I think it's very funny because of that. In fact, I didn't realize this, but in the very opening to the very first Kirby game, it actually just shows his design coming to life in the game itself, and I find that to be super interesting. For example, it's you draw a circle and 2 feet and a face, and presto, it's Kirbo. It more or less is what it's saying. One of my other favorite powers in this game is if you get fire and explosives, I believe you turn yourself into a firework, and literally as you press the attack button, you can actually basically explode as you move through the air, and that is actually insanely overpowered because not only are you keeping your momentum through the level, but you're also damaging enemies through it. I think it's probably the most broken power in the game. I think some people might disagree, but yeah. Again, it's so interesting just to combine things and test it and just see what it is without the game previewing to you what it could possibly be. It's so interesting to just discover these things and find them out for yourself. Another thing I have to say is that I really like the design of the final boss in this game. It's super cool to basically see it as basically a biblically accurate angel. There's no other way of really describing it. The Kirby lore has a very strange way of being extremely overpowered, especially in the Smash Brothers universe, because what exactly is Kirby? He's like a sentient black hole. So there's really nothing that can kill Kirby, and because of that, it actually makes sense why his games are so actually kind of arguably easy and abstract. But yeah, the final boss in this game is kind of this entity that is, it's called 02, and so it's kind of this essence of nothing that exists, and it's a combination of the essence of nothing and nihilism, and this other kind of anti-black hole that goes to war with Kirby. And the fact that the final boss is this thing where you are essentially constantly flying towards it while shooting with your fairy laser. It's so cool. I don't know, that the final boss of this game really stands out to me as a very iconic thing and something I just absolutely adore. Kind of going up against. I think every boss where you have to fall towards something or fly towards something, like Sonic Adventure 2 and the like, is just a really cool concept. Anyway, what I also love about Kirby is it's obviously very kid friendly, but it definitely has some challenge to it. You're not going to be you can't just walk through this game. Some, I think, modern-ish Kirby games are kind of set up like that. But yeah, you have Kirby's iconic little, flying ability where he has to, jump and hover a bunch of times and be able to breathe out. But again, I really love the combination of all the powers in this game. The music, the presentation, everything about it is just made with so much heart and soul, and it's so nice to see it and so soulful. I forgot to mention, one of the really weird things about this game is the way you actually control Kirby is via the D-pad. for his movement, and I found that to be super strange, frankly, because like the Nintendo 64 kind of had a control stick, and that was the main focus of the game, or of the console rather. And you know, that control sticks were new. I know that's a crazy thing to think about. But yeah, you control Kirby only using the D-pad. I just find that to be a really weird, interesting, you know, piece of history, I guess. Also, Kirby's animations are super expressive, super, you know, interesting, super fun. You know, you can find really good powers, really bad powers. This is an absolute classic game, and I highly super recommend it to anyone who hasn't played it yet. To me, this is the Kirby game. Anyway, guys, with all that being said, I think I'll leave you with that. I just maybe want to end on the note that I'm glad to see that there is also Kirby in the Forgotten Lands. That's to say that Kirby has not been totally forgotten either. And I'm glad to see that there's still Kirby games being made, unlike some other games that Nintendo has just completely ignored. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. I will see you guys later. Bye.